Story, all right, folks, gather around, because I got a story that's going to make your head spin. So here's the deal. I just found out that my wife, who I've been with for 14 years, yeah, 14 long ones, she's been cheating on me. And get this, it's not just any old fling, nope. It's with her district manager from Aramark Refreshments. Can you believe it? 2 whole years of sneaking around behind my back. But before I dive into all the nitty-gritty details, let me take you back a bit. I want you to understand the whole picture here, so you can decide for yourself if she had a right to do what she did, or if I just settled a debt owed. Back in 2012, I took my wife to get her tonsils removed. Hospital trip, you know the drill. They hand me her stuff because she can't take it in the surgery room. Her phone's buzzing like crazy, so I, being the curious cat I am, decide to check it out. And what do I find? Tons of inappropriate emails between her and some other dude from work. And get this, she's reading 50 Shades of Grey and calling him her Christian Grey, the same name she'd call me. You can bet your bottom dollar I was steaming mad. But she couldn't talk after the surgery, so I handed her a pen and paper, demanding answers. All she wrote was that it was just flirting. Well, I wasn't having any of that. Packed up my stuff, grabbed my kid, and hightailed it out of there for a mini getaway with my support team, aka my best friend and his wife. Gotta say, getting away from her for a bit was a breath of fresh air. But when we got back, she swore she deleted the emails and it wouldn't happen again. Spoiler alert, it did. Fast forward a few years, and I still couldn't shake the betrayal. So I figured, why not even the score? I met this client who gave me some attention, and we started texting. While my wife was out partying with her friends, I'd sneak off to see this other woman. Yeah, I know, not my proudest moment. Things escalated, and I ended up falling for this other woman. Then, boom, she drops the bombshell, she's pregnant. Talk about a plot twist. So, what do? I do the right thing and confess to my wife. Surprisingly, she takes it pretty well, saying she had a feeling it was coming. And then I drop the D word, divorce. I want to start fresh with this other woman. But hold the phone. My wife ain't having it. She's all like, oh, we can work it out. Let's go to church more, get some therapy from the pastor, and everything will be hunky-dory. And stupid me, I actually consider it for a hot minute. Then comes the kicker. Turns out, my wife's pregnant too, 3 months apart from the other woman. And get this, she basically strong-arms us into having another kid together. December 2014 rolls around, and just like that, I go from 1 kid to 3. Crazy, right? Now, let's jump to the present. Wife and I, we've had our fair share of UPS and downs, but I gotta say, I'm loving the way we're raising our kids. I've really turned over a new leaf, committed to rebuilding our relationship. But guess what I find out? For the past 2 years, she's been having an affair with her boss. Yeah, you heard me right. Every happy hour, every overtime shift, every trip to San Diego or Valentine's Day in Portland, he's been there, keeping her warm in a hotel room. And that, my friends, is where the real drama begins. So buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. Every happy hour after work, every late night spent doing overtime, every trip she took to San Diego or Portland for Valentine's Day, he was there, keeping her warm in some hotel room. So one day, she tells me she's going out for drinks after work. No biggie, right? But as the night wears on, 9 p.m. rolls around, and she's nowhere to be found. I call and call, no answer. Then I get a text with a picture of her and her girl coworker, saying they're grabbing a few more drinks before heading out. Strange, right? I mean, why text but not call? So I zoom into the picture, and what do I see? Her at the bar with her boss, his arms wrapped around her. Now picture me, driving 45 minutes from home to confront her. And there they are, looking like deer caught in headlights. She tries to brush it off, saying she's closing her tab and leaving. Meanwhile, her boss is drunk as a skunk, pouring his heart out to me about his own marital issues. Can you believe it? First time I meet the guy, and he's spilling his guts. But here's where it gets juicy. I notice my wife calling him multiple times while he's still sitting there. Odd, right? So I dig deeper. I check our phone records, and what do I find? She's been talking to him every Monday to Friday after work for the past 2 years. And get this, she tries to spin some story about end-of-day reporting for work. Yeah, right. I needed proof, so I did what I had to do. I recorded their conversations, and let me tell you, it broke my heart into a million pieces. She's chatting with her own cousin about how much excitement this guy brings into her life, how funny and goofy he is. And to top it off, she's mocking me for believing her lame excuses. I am minding my own business, trying to keep my family together, when bam, I stumble upon the motherlode of betrayal. It all started with these sneaky rendezvous my wife was having. Every happy hour, every late night at the office, every romantic getaway, guess who was right there with her? Yep, her slimy boss. And how did I find out, you ask? Well, let me tell you the tale. One night, she tells me she's just grabbing a few drinks after work, says she'll be home by 9. But 9 o'clock rolls around, and she's nowhere to be found. I call and call, nothing. Then I get a text, a freaking picture of her with her coworker, telling me she's just having a few more drinks. Weird, right? I zoom in on the pic, and there they are, cozy as can be at the bar. So I do what any self-respecting husband would do, I march right up to them. And what do I find? Her boss, drunk as a skunk, spilling his guts about his own miserable marriage. Real classy, buddy. Then my wife's phone starts blowing up, calls from him left and right. Suspicious, right? I dig a little deeper, check the phone records, and what do I find? She's been chatting with him every day after work for 2 freaking years. Claims it's for end-of-day reporting. Yeah, right. But hey, I'm not one to jump to conclusions. I need proof, solid evidence. So I do what any rational person would do, I snoop. And boy, did I hit the jackpot. Videos, messages, the whole 9 yards. It was like a punch to the gut seeing my wife with another man, but I needed that evidence. Fast forward a bit, and I've got a plan. She's got a big presentation at work. Boss man's gonna be there too. I sneak into the back of the conference room, swap out her presentation USB with one of my own, loaded with all the juicy evidence. As the presentation kicks off, I'm sitting there, heart pounding, watching it all unfold. And let me tell you, the look on their faces when those videos started playing? Priceless. But that was just the beginning. I wasn't going to let them off that easy. Oh no, I had a score to settle. So I reached out to his wife, spilled the beans on the whole sordid affair. And you know what? Turns out, we'd both been played for fools. But here's the kicker, even after all the evidence, they denied it. Can you believe the nerve? But hey, I wasn't about to let them off the hook that easily. I filed for divorce, packed up my stuff, and hit the road. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the kids? Trust me, that wasn't an easy decision. But after everything I'd been through, I knew I couldn't stay. It was time to start fresh, leave all the lies and betrayal behind. It all started innocently enough. My wife, let's call her Sarah, had been working at this company for a while. I trusted her, you know. Thought she was out there, doing her thing, while I held down the fort at home. But boy, was I in for a rude awakening. One day, I stumble upon something I wasn't meant to see. Emails. Flirty, inappropriate emails between Sarah and some dude from her office. And let me tell you, it felt like a punch to the gut. I mean, here I am, thinking we're solid as a rock, and she's off gallivanting with some other guy. Now, instead of blowing up, I decide to keep my cool. I confront her about it, ask for an explanation. And what does she say? Oh, it's nothing, just harmless flirting. Yeah, right. But being the forgiving guy that I am, I decide to let it slide. We talk it out. She promises it won't happen again. Yada, yada, yada. Fast forward a few years, and things seem to be back on track. We've got a couple of kids, a nice house, the whole shebang. But deep down, I just can't shake the feeling that something's off. Call it intuition, call it gut instinct, call it whatever you want. I just knew something wasn't right. And then, the bombshell drops. I find out that Sarah's been having an affair. With her freaking boss, no less. Every happy hour, every late night at the office, every romantic getaway, guess who's right there with her? That's right, Mr. Sleazeball himself. Now, I could have just turned a blind eye, pretended like everything was fine. But where's the fun in that? No, sir, I wasn't about to let them off that easy. I needed proof, solid evidence to bring them to their knees. So I start digging. phone records, emails, you name it. And let me tell you, what I found was enough to make even the strongest stomach turn. Explicit videos, steamy messages, the whole shebang. It was like a freaking soap opera, I tell you. But I didn't stop there. Oh no, I had a plan. I waited for the perfect moment, and then bam. I dropped the bombshell. Right in the middle of Sarah's big presentation, I swapped out her USB with one of my own, loaded with all the incriminating evidence. As those videos started playing on the big screen, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. My wife's face goes white. Her boss looks like he's about to have a heart attack. And me? I stand there, holding up the evidence like a freaking superhero. The aftermath? Let's just say it wasn't pretty. They were both shown the door, fired on the spot. Their reputations? Shot to hell. And me? Well, I gotta admit, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Revenge is sweet, my friends. But that wasn't the end of it. Oh no, Sarah comes crawling back, begging for forgiveness. But you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice? Not gonna happen. So I pack up my stuff, file for divorce, and focus on what really matters, my kids. I want to make sure they grow up in a loving, supportive environment, even if their parents' relationship has gone down the drain. Now, rebuilding my life? That's been no easy feat. It's taken time, effort, and a whole lot of soul searching. But you know what? I've come out of it stronger, more resilient than ever. As for Sarah, well, let's just say she's had a rough go of it. Lost her job, her reputation, her family, the whole shebang. And in the end, she lost the one person she claimed to love. It's around 2019, and finally, my wife decides to seek some help. She's been struggling, you see, battling with her own demons. So, off she goes to see a therapist and a psychologist, and what do you know? She gets diagnosed with bipolar 1. Now, that's a game changer, let me tell ya. Fast forward a bit. After popping out our second kid, she drops this bombshell on me. She wants to get into nursing, maybe even work her way up to being a midwife. And you know what? My wife, bless her heart, decides to get all cozy with this new guy. And get this, she hands him her phone, and he starts sending me videos, calling himself her new daddy. Now, you'd think I'd be all for it, right? Nah, not even close. Every second of those vids felt like a punch in the gut. So when she rolls back home, I lay it all out for her. I tell her straight up how I'm feeling, how I ain't cool with her pulling that stunt again. And you know what she says? She's disappointed because she kinda dug it, but she ain't about to lose me over it. Fair enough, I guess. But I lay down the law, delete that dude from Snapchat, ditch the game groups, the whole 9 yards. And to my surprise, she's on board with it. But here's the kicker, we're still duking it out. My confidence is shot to hell, and I'm leaning on her to lift me back up. Problem is, she ain't too keen on playing that role. Fast forward a bit, and she's leaving the kids, 10 and 6 mind you, home alone to jet off to D&D early. Now, call me old-fashioned, but that ain't sitting right with me. I tell her straight up, but she brushes it off, saying the kids are fine. Later that night, she's off gallivanting with her friend from the group, ignoring my calls and texts like it's no big deal. She rolls back home at the crack of dawn, and I'm fuming. But wait, it gets better. The next morning, she drops a bombshell on me. She's been seeing this other dude for a month, and she's head over heels for him. Ain't that a kick in the teeth? She starts spilling all the beans, texting him all sorts of inappropriate stuff, sneaking around while I'm busting my butt at work, and even inviting him into our damn house. And to top it all off, she's saying our marriage is on the rocks, 'cause apparently I've lost my spark for life or some crap like that. But hey, at least she agrees to cut ties with the game nights and swear off Mr. New Daddy. About that weekend, I had to get out of there, so I headed back home to be with the fam. But while I was gone, things took a turn for the worse. I mean, she went full Hulk mode and smashed all our dishes and glasses. Said she did it to avoid hurting herself. And get this, she wanted to hit the gym, while the kids were home alone. Can you believe that? I had to lay down the law and tell her, no way, you can't leave them like that. But her response? She threatened to wreck even more stuff. So when I finally got back, she hits me with the bombshell. She wants out. Just like that, boom, it's over. I'm sitting there like, hold up, can't we work this out? But nah, she's dead set on splitting up. And let me tell you, the next few weeks were a non-stop battleground. We're going at it day in, day out. And then bam, I find out she's been making moves behind my back. She's opening her own bank account, applying for jobs, scoping out apartments, and even lawyering up. I'm like, okay, fine, you win. I tell her I'm out, and I bounce. But before I go, I'm like, please, just stay away from that other dude. Do it for me. But she's all, nah, it's not about him. Yeah, right. So come Friday, we sit the kids down and break the news to them. Man, they're crushed. Tears are flowing, and my heart's breaking right along with them. Once things settled down a bit, I packed my bags and hit the road. Ended up crashing at my cousin's place a couple hours away. And let me tell you, talking to my cousin was like a breath of fresh air. She listens to the whole saga and hits me with the big question, what do you want, and what's your gut telling you? And you know what? Deep down, I still love my wife, and I ain't ready to throw in the towel just yet. So she tells me to fight for it. And fight I will. When I went back home, I called up my wife beforehand, gave her a heads up that I needed to swing by and grab something important, my wedding ring. I get home, and there she is, quiet as a mouse, just cleaning up the kitchen, which was kind of weird. Anyway, I grab my ring, lay down the I love you. I'll always fight for us speech, but she's stone cold silent. I head back to my cousin's crib, stopping for gas on the way. And then, bam, my ring camera starts blowing up my phone. I check it out, and what do I see? My wife's moving her car around, unplugging the cameras, shady stuff, right? So I ring up my oldest kid to get the scoop, and turns out, Mama Bear's got some friends coming over for game night. And guess who's running the show? Yeah, that other dude. I roll back home, and it's quiet, like too quiet. Ain't nobody there from her gaming crew yet. I walk in, and there's wifey racing to the door, all dolled up, makeup and all, which was definitely out of the ordinary. But when she sees it's me, she ain't exactly thrilled. She's like, what you doing back? So I head over to the kids' rooms, tell them to get their socks and shoes on, 'cause we're bouncing for the night. My little one's on board, straight to the car, no questions asked. But the older one, man, they're confused as heck. And then, out of nowhere, my wife's clutching onto the older kid, calling the cops, talking about I'm trying to snatch him away or something. Cops show up, can't really do squat, but they're like, yo, you had to figure this out. So I'm like, cool. How about me and the kids crash here, and you can cancel the game night? She reluctantly agrees, cops bounce, and then she hits me with the I hate you line. Lovely, right? Next thing I know, she's whisking the kids off to breakfast, and poof, they're gone. But oh, it doesn't end there. Now I'm getting slapped with court papers, all 'cause of her accusations of domestic drama. And to top it off, she's blowing up my phone, begging to meet with her lawyer and hash things out. But I'm like, nah, not without my own backup. Last night, my wife finally let me see the kids, but it was in some food court mall, and she had her new squad keeping an eye on us. Talk about feeling like a total outsider in your own family. Anyway, we had this hour together, and at the end of it, I asked if I could take the kids to church this Sunday. And what does she say? Nope, forget about it. Then, to add insult to injury, she texts me an hour later, asking if I'd cough up some cash for after-school childcare because she's on the hunt for a job. Like, seriously? It felt like the universe was throwing everything it had at me. The woman I loved had become a total stranger, and I'm just stuck in this whirlwind of pain and shame. But you know what? Despite all the craziness, I made a promise to myself. I swore I'd stay strong through it all. There was this weird sense of calm that came over me. I became determined to reclaim my dignity, get my kids back, and mend my shattered heart. So I did what any guy in my shoes would do. I hunted down the top divorce lawyer in town. This dude was legendary for his unconventional but damn effective methods. I poured my heart out to him, spilled every detail of the mess my life had become. And you know what he said? He just tapped his fingers on his fancy desk, looked me dead in the eye, and muttered, "Betrayal and manipulation, my friend. But don't sweat it, justice will be served." The days that followed were a total blur. Court battles left, right, and center. There were moments when I felt like throwing in the towel, especially seeing my kids in tears. But I held on, man. Me and my lawyer, we brought the heat. We laid out all the evidence, my wife's cheating, her neglect of the kids, everything. It was like watching a soap opera unfold in real life. And just when we thought we'd hit a dead end, my lawyer comes up with this crazy plan. I'm talking next level stuff. But I trusted him, so we went for it. Fast forward to the final hearing day. The courtroom's buzzing, tensions running high. My lawyer gets up, turns to the judge, and drops the bomb. He asks for a 1-hour recess, says we got a surprise witness who's going to blow this case wide open. And let me tell you, as that hour crept by, the suspense was killing me. Then, right on cue, the courtroom doors swing open. And out of nowhere, in walks this woman, all incognito with a big ol' hat covering her face. I'm looking at her, trying to figure out where I've seen her before, and then it hits me like a ton of bricks. She's the lady from OnlyFans, the one I've been dropping loads of cash on. I swear, my heart skipped a beat as she takes the stand and starts spilling the beans. Turns out, she's an actress hired by none other than my wife. Yeah, you heard that right. My wife, the one who's been playing me like a fiddle. This woman lays it all out, texts, emails, recorded calls, you name it, she's got it. The courtroom's going wild, man. The judge is trying to keep order, but it's chaos in there. And there's my wife, looking like she's about to faint. She's caught red-handed, trapped in her own web of lies. In the end, I come out on top. Full custody of the kids, my wife ordered to get her head straight with some counseling, and limited visitation until she proves she's got her act together. It's a win, no doubt about it. But it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Life moves on, you know? I find a new gig, a new place to call home for me and the little ones. Slowly but surely, we start picking up the pieces. The kids start healing, and so do I. I hold out hope that maybe, just maybe, my wife will come to her senses and get back to the woman I once loved. And as for revenge, it's not about getting even or causing pain. Nah, man, it's about setting the record straight and getting the justice we deserve. The way it all played out, it was unexpected for sure. But in the end, it's about standing tall, keeping my dignity intact, and making sure my kids have a shot at a bright future. And in that, my friend, that's where I find my revenge. Thank you.